I reviewed all three original trilogy movies, so now let's talk about the prequels. Let's get into it. Welcome back to my Star Wars review series where I'm reviewing every Star Wars movie ever made. There's a lot of prequel hate, and over the years I have had many different opinions on the prequels. Growing up, the prequels were my favorite Star Wars. I like them more than the original trilogy. And looking back, I am not annoyed by that opinion that I had when I was 7. I was 7. I loved the big, flashy Star Wars movie, regardless how bad they were. And then when I was about like 11-ish, I realized that people really did not like the prequels, so of course I started to really hate the prequels. But then I watched them again, and I started to think they were okay, including Phantom Menace. This movie is not great by any means, but I would say that it's good. It has some serious problems, Jar Jar, boring plot, some stale characters, some god-awful writing, but Star Wars, it's Phantom Menace, and for some reason I still love it, kinda. And that's the funny thing. I know this movie is not great. In some ways I don't like it, but I still love it. If you watch most of my review, they're about 10 minutes long and I break down the movie. I'm not doing this for the Phantom Menace. An exceptionally average movie. It's just right there in the middle. The saving grace of Star Wars The Phantom Menace is the fact that Star Wars is in there. Because it's attached to a big, larger story that I love so much, I can accept many of its flaws. That being said, there are lots of flaws, too many to ignore. One scene that I want to touch on real quick is the pod racing. People love this scene, and countless video games have been based off this. But when rewatching The Phantom Menace, you know what I did? I fast-forward during this scene. Maybe the first 5 times you see this scene, it's really cool. After the 6th time, or really after the 4th time, it is boring and repetitive. Predictable at some points, boring, and very repetitive. The variation of this shot right here is repeated like 7 times. By far my favorite scene in this movie is the Duel of the Fates, the fight between Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, and Qui-Gon Jinn. One of my favorite lightsaber battles ever. If you watch my worst moments in Star Wars, you know that I hate the way Darth Maul dies because it's just so dumb. A big scary villain just decides to whack his lightsaber like an old man. I'm gonna get this Jedi! When he could like throw the lightsaber at his face, you're like, force choked him or something. It's just so dumb. Darth Maul is such a cool character, but he just becomes so dumb in Final's moments. The overall plot of this movie is not good. It's trade politics and the big motivation of the Emperor is he really wants Padme to sign a piece of paper. Ooh! The casting of Anakin Skywalker is abysmal. Jake Lloyd is just bad. Do I think he should have been bullied throughout school? Of course not. Of course not. He should have. The third act of this movie is pretty good. I do enjoy the third act. Don't think this movie deserves the hate that it does get, but some of it's justified, some of it's not. In the end, I will say Phantom Menace is a solid C+. That pretty much wraps up my review of Star Wars The Phantom Menace. This is more of a hot take than a review, but potato. No one says potato though. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and consider subscribing. And follow me on other social media such as Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at basically.sw and on Twitter at DavidLawlerYT. You can also follow me on my personal Instagram account at DavidLawlerYT. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. May the Force be with you.